So my friends, a very good morning to everyone and welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin at 103,800 US dollars. Actually, not much has happened over the weekend. We are still moving very, very bullishly, but we have now reached the target zone that we discussed on Friday, at least for now. So we are now really facing massive resistance here. We have filled the inefficiency here at 103,700 US dollars. We are in the supply zone, which is also marked up here. As soon as we really break above that, the all-time high is not far away, and we could really shoot through here. That means we may be facing a decision here in the next few hours or days. What we should be paying attention to now, you'll definitely find out in today's update video. Also, of course, we'll be taking a look at the stock markets, which have also gotten a bit of a boost towards the end of the week. Still, it's important to remain very cautious there as well. But before we get started, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and Signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, you're more than welcome to join. You'll find the link for that for free down in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade everything we discuss here, you can sign up with my partner exchange, BingX. The link for that is also in the video description or in the comment section. Additionally, at the moment, you can get up to 11,500 USDT in bonuses here, which you can claim through KYC or in other actions. So yeah, as I said, Bitcoin is at 103,800 US dollars. Over the weekend, we actually saw very, very little change. Sure, we've gone up a bit more, but now we've also seen a bearish divergence here, both on the smaller and of course on the larger time frames. That's the first minor flaw to mention here. And also the volume has dropped significantly over the weekend. These are some small negative factors, but you also have to say, as mentioned, we had an extremely steep rise. Within, just about a week, it went from 93,000 up to 104,000 US dollars. Naturally, a lot of positions were opened along the way. On the other hand, of course, there were also some vector candles. Just as we discussed last week, a pullback to 97,000 US dollars wouldn't be a bad thing at all, simply to retest the former resistance area. I'll quickly mark that for you now. This purple line here, basically, the purple line, the blue line, down to around here, would essentially be the inefficiency that could still be filled. It would be a sharp, quick dump, but when we take a look at the altcoins in a moment, you'll understand what I'm getting at. It would mean a drop of about 5 to 7%, which could happen relatively quickly. If we take a look at the funding rates, they've also risen for the first time in a long while. We're broadly in the white zone here, or in some cases even back in the red. Crypto.com is always the first to show this whenever something like this is about to happen, but you can see over the past few days, the funding rates have been increasing. That's already a good sign. Looking at the heat map, we still have a lot of liquidity above us up to around 160,000 US dollars, but also to the downside. And especially the larger we set the time frame, as you'll see in a moment, the more purple or colorful it gets towards the downside as well. And there you can also see this area around 93, roughly 99 and 102,000 US dollars. So these are exactly the zones we talked about last week, where most of the gaps are, where the biggest inefficiencies are, and of course where the strongest pumps happened. That's usually where the liquidity lies as well. That's why a pullback would make sense. In my opinion, the upward movement would only be broken if we fall below 93,000 US dollars or 92,700 US dollars. Only then should we start to consider whether this rally is already coming to an early end. At the moment, as I said, things are still looking good. I wouldn't short the whole thing. Depending on how the reaction is down here at around 93 or 94K, you could consider whether to even go long and then possibly see either a double top here or really move up toward the all-time high. Those would be the next possible scenarios. Otherwise, as I said, not much has happened over the weekend except for the divergences we have. Our RSI on the daily is clearly overbought. So here too, we're now in the overbought zone. There is also potential for a correction here, or at least it would be possible. In terms of volume, there's also been a bit of a decline. So a pullback now would be absolutely not dramatic and could even, I would say, play into our hands in a bullish way. Let's move on to the altcoins. Especially Ethereum has, I really didn't expect us to get up there so quickly. I think I even said on Friday that I wouldn't short because the possibility that we could rise towards $2,500 or $2,600 is very, very high. And then within just a few hours, it really shot up significantly again. At the peak, we climbed to 2609. That was exactly up here, our new monthly pivot, R3 where we were. That was exactly the inefficiency that was closed here. This means the green box is now irrelevant for us for the time being. Technically speaking, though, we still have to say that we're not really in an upward trend here. So it would actually be positive if we saw a brief pullback here, or rather, what do I mean by a brief one? This is actually the crazy thing that I wanted to make clear to you with Bitcoin as well. If we really were to dump from the upper edge all the way down here, at least to fill this inefficiency, that would be 1930, which would be a 25 to even about a 29% dump, and it wouldn't even be bearish if we went down there. That means a pullback here in Ethereum, and the risk ratio is very, very high. So you could say, okay, we go down here once more and then rise again towards 2,800, 2,900 US dollars. On the daily chart, this even makes sense because we still have an inefficiency here. That offers quite a bit of liquidity. In that case, even 3,100 US dollars would be possible. Nevertheless, in my opinion, it's not healthy to climb this high without any pause. If you want to short this, maybe wait and see if we come back up to the area of 2,609 US dollars. It would be another 5% pump, but as we saw last week with Ethereum, a 10% or even 20% pump within a few hours is definitely possible with Ethereum. Of course, there's also the risk that we might dump earlier. Bearish divergence, decreasing volume for the first time in days or even weeks. It's really the first time in recent days that we've seen declining volume. So be careful. It's definitely not worth blindly going long here. Same story with Solana. Solana has left the range. We have now, yes, reached our green target box, so to speak. This was the box where we said we definitely wouldn't short because the risk of us moving up in this area is very, very high. Point number 2, we still have some liquidity lying just above here. We just barely missed the liquidity here at 180 or 181 US dollars. That was this peak here and this peak here. It's quite possible that we'll revisit this zone here towards 184 US dollars over the course of the morning and only then see a dump towards, well, we'll have to see, but maybe in any case towards 157 US dollars. That would actually be the best scenario. Just grab the liquidity from above one more time, and from the fib level, it would even fit perfectly so that we drop down into the golden pocket here at around 158 US dollars and get into the trade that way. So keep an eye on that as well. Shorting again now at the start of the week is difficult. First, wait and see. Also how the US markets open this afternoon. Yeah, speaking of stock markets, how's it looking? The DAX trade is definitely still running. I haven't changed anything about it. Here too, even though we have a new all-time high, liquidity was grabbed again. Completely crazy. I'm staying in the position. That's all there is to say about that. Otherwise, there's not much to now report here. Dow Jones is still at the golden pocket. It will really be interesting today to see how the US markets open now because there was positive news from the US. Yes, there are results between the US and China, but it's not really official yet. Then Trump announced another huge post. The next post will be incredible, and who knows what else. Let's see if it really turns out that way. At least the S&P $500 is slowly moving up here towards 5,800 US dollars, so into our target zone. And now we'll just wait and see for the time being. So Nasdaq and Dow Jones still have some room to move up. Let's see if that potential is fully tapped or if this really turns into a phenomenal breakout. At least gold is on its way in our direction. Here too, I'll wait and see what happens this morning. Otherwise, this would definitely already be a good long entry point where we are right now. That was roughly the target zone. As I said, it would be better if it was still down here at 3,200, 3,190, down to 3,146. That still remains my primary target zone. Yes, and last but not least, the euro against the US dollar. We are slowly moving toward the third take profit and then possibly also into our, well, potentially euro-US dollar long trade, which we could ultimately start here. So the target zone remains at 1.111468 euros, where the golden pocket is ultimately located. Let's see how this develops over the next few hours or the next few days, depending, of course, on whether all these trade issues get resolved. Will there really be positive news between the USA and China? That could, of course, completely strengthen the dollar again. Let's see what happens. In any case, I think it's going to be a very, very exciting week. Otherwise, that's it from my side. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, activate the bell so you always get notified. And later we'll see if there's time for an altcoin update video. Otherwise, until then, ciao ciao, and as always, stay crypt.